Welcome to the Old-Fashioned Three. They've been around basketball from the Big Dipper to the Greek Freak, from Russell Celtics to Curry's Warriors, from Peach Baskets to Paolo Banchero. Here are Whitey Gleason, Phantom, and Jerry Reynolds.
Yes, that was that cat, all right.
So Phantom and I are in drop coverage, I'd say, today.
I'd say we are, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit in drop coverage, because if we're where we normally are, it's come to the attention of some that it looks like, like it's a Hobbit movie or
Wow,
something.
yeah.
Well, they do this.
How's Frodo doing
They
back there?
do whatever they can to diminish me, but they can't get it.
That's
done.
why we're in
No,
drop
now we're in
coverage
drop
today.
coverage.
Okay,
Keep the
drop,
ball out of
coverage.
your
Drop
hands.
coverage.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right?
There we go. Look at that.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're a team, not a good team, but we're a team.
We're
Yeah.
playing.
Yeah,
we're playing
you're
team.
playing, yeah.
2 weeks from tonight, the NBA season tips off. Can it be? Can it be? That's great.
Yeah, it happens
it?
every year. Yeah. I mean,
It's too soon, really, but I'm
Wow.
ready. I'm
That's
ready
true.
for basketball.
That's true,
but
yeah.
I mean, it really is. It's like almost like getting like hockey, where you play year round. Isn't it?
yeah.
It
'Cause
does
the
seem
first
like-
year, it was
yeah.
basically Halloween night that first year back in '85, and now
uh-huh.
it's almost 2.5 weeks ahead of that when they kick it out or tip it off now.
Wow. I didn't think you guys would be complaining about how early the season starts. I
We
didn't see-
wouldn't, but you were
I didn't
excited
s-
about it, so we thought we kind of put a damper on that. If you
I'm
were
thinking about
against
going
it,
back up here.
if you
I
were
don't know.
against it, we would have been all for it.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
To let you know.
Yeah. No,
That's how
I
this
mean,
works.
I'm looking forward to basketball. I mean, the preseason's preseason. It's hard to watch preseason basketball, but
You watched, though. I know
did.
you watched.
I did.
You
I
did
did
watch. Yeah.
I did. I mean, once the Niners had it sewed up, I was focused in on the
Padres and Giants? No?
I just went right to the Kings and Lakers.
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, you
Yeah.
just can't
Oh,
get
boy.
boy, it's strange kind of. It's preseason, so what
Yeah.
do you say?
Yeah.
I mean, my wife was asking me about it. She said, "Well, what do you make of it?" And I said, "Well, you can't make anything of it, really, except, but if you want to be positive, you can come up. Well, they beat the Lakers by 30 points. Okay.
Yeah.
If you want to be a little negative, it's like, well, when both teams had their main guys out there, the Lakers won the first half. So,
You can see it anyway.
and you can say, boy, sure, the rookie sure looked good, and
Yeah.
he did.
Yeah.
And so,
It's a PR guy's dream, right? Because
Right.
if you win, great. If you lose, preseason.
Preseason.
So you can't.
Well, they got a lot of open shots.
yeah.
Okay, they missed them,
And
but
they
still
missed
they
'em.
had
But
them.
they had 'em.
That's my favorite thing. They won't miss those later on. We had a lot of open shots. We missed shots we usually would make. Well, how do you know that? You got to make them,
Yeah.
right? It's not like,
Right.
later we'll make those shots.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you'll learn to shoot better. I don't know.
And you held the Lakers in the second half to 30-some points, so obviously defensive schemes are working.
Mike Brown's a genius.
You just hope the Lakers will play those lineups
Oh, yeah.
later on, mid-season, if you can see those guys out there. I think
the
they're easier to
16th
guard,
man, yeah.
and, for sure. But
Yeah. I will say this, Jer, to the point you originally made. I was thinking about that last night. It seems like the Warriors just beat the Celtics. Because I remember the
Couple
Warriors beat the
weeks ago.
Celtics, and then your son Kyle got married. We were down there, and it seems like that just
what
happened.
happened.
Yeah.
It did
Yeah.
just happen.
It seemed like that just happened.
Yeah, it was. 4
And then all of a
months ago,
sudden,
yeah.
and look at the Warriors, and they gotta go to Japan.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my goodness, and and then they played the 2 games there, which was kind of interesting.
It
But
seemed like it was
Yeah.
a PR, to your
Yeah.
point, it was a PR bonanza, right?
right,
Everything-
right, yeah, which is great. But at some point, I mean, especially for older guys in the league, it's got to be physically demanding, like for you guys during this podcast.
Yeah, when we sit here,
Yeah.
trying to keep up with you and your youthful energy. Yes, yeah, because you're the spring chicken of the group.
right.
Yes, right, Jared? Don't you
Yeah.
feel like it? Next to him, you just feel like really old and decrepit because he's so young and
actually,
virile.
I feel old and decrepit before I even talked to Whitey today, but that's irrelevant.
We'll talk about that later on
Yeah.
one of your other podcasts.
It could be because I'm old and decrepit. Sometimes it's as simple as that.
That's a good name for one of your other podcasts.
Yeah.
Old and
Yeah.
decrepit
Old and
with Jerry
decrepit.
Reynolds.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of your other podcast, seriously, we need to make a note of this. I know you do King's Herald stuff, yeah,
Yep.
and you do a great job on there, and they do a great job. And you got something else coming up this week.
I was going to start a show with Grant Napier, Grant and Jerry.
Don't know who
I'll
that
talk
is.
a little basketball for 30
Bring one of
minutes.
the youngsters up. That's nice,
yeah,
Jerry. Yeah.
3 o'clock, I think, on YouTube and Podbean and a couple things. So,
Good luck.
Obviously, I know Mr. Napier pretty well. So hopefully, the thing that concerns me is anytime you're doing something from home, how I get on air. You know, I mean,
yeah,
the
it's
technical
not-
aspects.
Yes, the technical aspects.
But the other side, 3 o'clock's about your sweet spot these days, right? That's a good time for you. during
Well,
the day.
actually, it's my normally my nap time, but
Right at dinner, right
so
before dinner?
I told Grant it better not be longer than 30 minutes because I might be nodding
3:30. I'm nodding off.
I may be nodding off.
And let's
Is
hope
there-
the listener doesn't, huh?
Is there a podcast that you're not on currently?
Not yet. No.
Okay,
no,
okay.
no.
Yeah, okay, good. Let's keep
Well,
it that way.
I'm kind
You're in demand.
Yeah, it doesn't diminish the appeal of this one at all. That you're on 13 other ones. Yeah,
No, it doesn't.
No,
And,
'cause what you bring to this one is much different than the other ones.
well, I'm just proud to be associated with my team here.
Well, that's very nice
listen
you
to
said.
this. Oh, come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
You did that because of Stones. Yeah.
Sean Salisbury's on that one too, right? With you and
Well, actually, he and Grant do it like I think 4 days a week, and I'm
you're-
just doing it one.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah,
He's a
good guy and
Yeah.
very talented.
All right.
like as is Grant, and we'll see how it all goes. And
Good luck.
And if it doesn't go well, they'll say, "Jerry, go away."
Yeah. They just won't connect you from your
or
house. Yeah.
or if I don't like it, I'll say, "Grant, go away."
Yeah, well, I'm sure it'll work out.
Yeah. So that's how we'll treat it.
That sounds good. Yeah. A very mature
Looking
way
forward
of
to
dealing
that.
with things.
Yeah, a couple of things here that I gleaned from the preseason, and so I'm going to say this, and you guys are going to go, it's preseason, nothing
It
matters.
just started. How did you
I know.
glean something already?
Well, there's two players that really popped for me. Okay, and you can tell me now that's ridiculous. One is James Wiseman because he'd been, and it's just 2 games in Japan. Up to this point, he'd been like always just a half beat slow, everything half beat slow, which is understandable because he's half beat slow, making the same mistakes, couldn't stay healthy, and especially, well, I haven't actually seen the second game in Japan yet, just saw the first game.
Yeah.
But he was aggressive, he was quick, he had some quickness, he scored a lot of points, but it was more a matter of him being just anticipating what was going to happen. He looked really much better, like a different player. And the other guy is Patrick Baldwin Jr., who they took late in the first round because he was a great high school prospect, right? And he was terrible in college, and he did terrible at the combine. He looks like a real player. So, and then you also have Keegan Murray, who I thought played really well last night. No real surprise. But those are 3 guys so far early on that pop for me a little bit.
Well, as far as Wiseman, I want to see it on American soil.
Yeah.
Okay. Once you can, I mean,
Sure.
sure, you could do
Sure.
that over
Yeah.
Japan. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the time. This is the time in the year where you go, okay, you don't take too much from it, but that's a positive. That's a start. Okay. If a guy does something good, no matter what the competition or anything, especially a guy like Wiseman, yeah, you take a lot from that because he's making that climb back to where he was, 2 years ago or whatever. So any positive thing, any small step that's a positive, I think is really good for him. So yeah, I think that's a great sign for him, for the Warriors.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt. I mean, I remember seeing him in high school, and then briefly played in college a couple of games, and it's like, boy, you saw some real potential there. And then, of course, all the injuries and all this and all that. And, of course, the Warriors so good you just can't trot somebody out there hoping that they're ready to play. And, of course, he had all those injuries. But, they've done a marvelous job, I think, drafting. I mean, with Kuminga and Moody, both look like sure players. And now, of course, Wiseman's second round pick or second pick in the draft, and then Baldwin obviously seems like a real find.
He does, and I know it's early, but he's like, wow, like I can play.
Well, he's one of those guys that obviously should have had a better year. So we'll see. But I mean, I guess the bottom line is that it sure looks like the Warriors are kind of restocked now. You don't know that any of them's going to replace Curry or Clay when the time comes, but. I don't know how you could do much better than they've done.
Yeah, there's already some friction there between Clay and Poole. Clay was talking. He was in Japan, and he didn't play, but he participated in a three-point contest. He was making jokes. But it was good to humble Poole, and Poole had a microphone doing some media stuff, and Clay said to the media, he's trying to take your job too. So it's an interesting dynamic there.
I think the whole team's going
to
blow it apart.
No, it's just
Forget about
interesting.
it.
And Clay, he knows what's coming.
They've gotten to the point almost now where they're like the old-time Spurs. If they take a guy, it's going to work out because they have such a great system. They just throw him in there, and if they, they sink or swim. But it seems like that's what they're doing now is they're making anybody, number 2 pick, at the end of the first round, second round pick, they all flourish into that system, or many of them do.
Well, I always said, I think so much of it goes back to Curry. To have your best player, a franchise guy, which he clearly is, and a game changer, being such a humble guy, a hard worker. It's hard for big name guys to come in there and not fit in.
Mm-hmm.
And of course Kerr, I think that's also terrific at making everything work. But I think so much of it starts with Curry, and I think. And I could be wrong, but I think when Curry leaves, not just his talent, but I think there's going to be a whole world open up to the Warriors that they haven't had to deal with for a while.
So willing to share the spotlight.
Yeah.
I mean, he clearly, like you say, it's his team. He's the best player, but he is ready to let this guy shine or that guy shine, and you don't see that all the time.
You just really
You certainly don't see that on this show.
No, because Mr. Shine over here is on 13 different podcasts. We can't keep up with him.
I mean, once you have someone that's just a step above, I mean, I don't know.
I mean, he's already proved why in the first 7 minutes today.
question.
So, I mean, we're not quibbling with that. We're just kind of envious, really.
I mean, I'm kind of like Porzingis. I'm the unicorn here.
Yeah, but you're usually at the podcast. Porzingis never shows up. He's always hurt.
All right, speaking of players the Warriors have drafted, it's interesting. Tyler Hero just signed his extension with the Heat, $130 million.
$130.
So the Warriors have a deadline to do that with Jordan Poole, one of the players that fits the description. We haven't actually touched on him yet. So it had looked like the Warriors maybe could get him for $100 million. Now maybe he says, hey, I want that. If you're the Warriors, if you're Poole, how are you looking at that? If you're Poole, do you say, I'm not gonna sign for less than that, then I'll be a restricted free agent? If you're the Warriors, you say, yep, 130. If that's what it takes, he's worth it.
Well, he's going to be restricted, so I don't know why you worry about it. I mean, that's why so many teams. I thought honestly, Phoenix played it right with Ayton.
With Ayton,
it's like, yeah, he wanted a max deal. Well, he ended up getting an offer for $130 million, and they matched it. Well, that saved him $30 or $40 million right there. Probably what the Kings should have done with Fox. I mean, because at some point it all affects your cap. But in my mind, Poole. Yeah, he's got a lot of value, but I don't think he could, as a restricted free agent, he's going to.
130 sounds like a little bit too much to me.
Well, he's had one really great year, and you want to see this year. I'd want to see this year, and then decide. But I like restricted free agents. I've always said, that's the owners, especially small market teams, really fought for that for a reason, and so rarely do they use it. It's amazing. It's like he'll be upset. Well, really? So let's give him $30 million extra, so he won't be.
Plus,
upset.
you got a guy in a prove it year,
to.
right? Where he will never be more motivated to show you how good he is.
Yeah.
He's trying to show everybody else too, but still, you're going to benefit from that.
And I mean, not only can you match, and they would, but it's like in general, it's like, well, okay, somebody offered you $110 million. That's the most you were offered. We'll give you $115. Well, how's he going to be unhappy about that?
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Well,
and I just think, if I'm the Warriors, I don't, okay, we really like you, and we're going to pay you probably more than anybody else will, but we want to see another year.
Yeah. Plus, you're the. I don't know if they even look at it this way, but you just talking about it. You're the guy in waiting. You're the guy when Steph moves on. You're the guy. You're our guy. We're grooming you to be that guy. Hopefully, I don't think you can be Steph, but you can be really, really good. So you just be patient. And I know it didn't work with Kyrie and LeBron in Cleveland. He wanted to go off and run his own team. But I think if in the situation, if they look at it the way we look at it, it's like, okay, be patient. You'll get your money. You'll get your team. You'll be the guy on this team on the Warriors. I think that's got to hold some kind of sway.
Well, it should. But, the other thing is like, well, go back to Steph. I mean, when he signed a contract,
very club friendly.
Very club friendly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Hey, how's it worked out for him? Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Yeah.
Did your friend Larry Riley actually draft him, and he didn't get credit for it?
He drafted Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. I don't.
Well, that's not bad. I don't know.
I've always thought that had a lot to do with their success.
Oh, yeah. So. Oh, look at Mr. Out on a limb over here. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. But doesn't I think Nelson ends up getting credit for some of those picks? Don Nelson and
well, he could. Now he wasn't. Was he there at the time? On all cases, I'm not sure.
Not all of them, no. Yeah, I think he was around for Steph, but yeah,
he might have been around for Steph. Yeah.
But Larry Riley is
friend of his,
Jerry's buddy. Yeah, with the Hawks now.
He's a Hoosier. You got
okay.
He's a good guy too. Yeah. He's a really
very
good guy.
Smart guy.
Yeah,
always dressed impeccably.
Well,
I mean, he's not exactly a Hoosier because he's from slightly north of Indianapolis. So
I was going to say.
we
Wow.
you know.
He had his little
You know,
atlas out. He's going, wait a minute here.
Hey,
Over here. Hey, what
I'm
do you
gonna
got?
say, well, we make exceptions in some cases.
Yeah, honorary.
Very
Yeah.
generous, Jerry. That's
Yeah.
nice of you.
Would it surprise you to know, Mr. Basketball, that Jerry told me today before we started that he saw something last night that impressed him in the preseason?
Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
It really would, because
and
he's
maybe I'm
a
overstating
wait-and-see
it, but
kinda guy.
and it was kind of like, hey, you know who looked pretty good? Ben Simmons. Jerry, was it fair to say you were
Yes.
impressed by Ben Simmons?
I was. I thought, considering not playing in the years preseason, we know.
I know,
And
I know.
I mean, and I not stepping on the Phantom's toes here because he wants to see it.
Thank you for
see-
Thank you.
But,
Yes.
but he was on the floor.
That's good.
And he looked like a basketball
That's a
player.
good start.
A good start. He was out there and he played and made some really nice plays. I mean, you saw the complete basketball player that he can be with the opposite of shooting long jump shots. But
No, I saw
he's going to fit on that team. I mean, really,
Well-
I just can't see how, if he stays healthy, how he's not really going to help that team.
No, I saw on Twitter or something that he had 2 free throws and he missed him, and they started booing him. Was that like hype, or did that really happen? Because that's ridiculous if that really happened. That's absolutely ridiculous.
I don't know.
I'm a guy. I'm not. I want to wait and see it on the floor, but still, that would be ridiculous if you miss a free throw.
I don't
in
recall that. I
preseason.
mean, I think there could have been a couple people booing.
Yeah.
It wasn't
That
massive.
social media. You got to watch it with that social media stuff.
Yeah. So anyway, but he looked good. You know, I mean, I think the Nets could be a real contender. I mean, if they can like everybody stay healthy. But I mean, Durant, Irving,
Yeah.
Simmons, Joe Harris. I mean, Steph Curry or Seth Curry.
Yep,
I mean,
Seth.
Whatever
Yeah.
Curry they get.
ever kind of Curry.
You're not a Seth Curry guy, are you?
I like Seth Curry. I'm being blasphemed for not liking Steph Curry. Or Seth Curry, and I do like Seth Curry. But to your point, I'm rooting for Ben Simmons to get on because I think that's great for basketball. Just having all those guys together. I just want to see what happens when they're all on the floor together for a sustained period of time and see what they can accomplish.
Yeah, they got
with Seth Curry.
Yeah, they got so many really good shooters, and that's why I think Simmons fits there because he really doesn't want to shoot.
No, he does not.
But he can find people and he can make plays, and so on a lot
Good
of
floor
teams,
game, they used to say, right? He's
Good,
got a great
yeah,
floor game.
yeah, he's got the great floor
Which
game.
means the guy can't shoot. That's
Yeah,
what it means.
yeah.
Great floor game over here. I can't make
Well,
anything
that's
go-
like the old boy. He's a scrappy veteran. Well, that means he really isn't very good.
No,
No, but he doesn't stop playing. He just doesn't play
He'll try
very
hard
well.
and he won't
he'll
accomplish
try
much.
really
Yeah.
hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not good,
Yeah,
though.
Yeah.
Scrappy.
Well, that guy out, he'll battle. Yeah, I was like, well, yeah, but
He'll
he can't
battle
play-
you. He'll battle you.
He can't play, but he'll battle you.
You'll win, but he'll battle you.
You know who I think of when you say that? And he's on the Kings now, so I guess it's time for, Pod Save the Kings. Will they ever make the playoffs? Pod Save the Kings, maybe this will be the year. Anyway, Matthew Dellavedova.
Yeah.
When you say Scrappy, and I know he's played a while now and he's had a nice pro career, but to me, that's the guy you're describing.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't agree more. I mean, there's a guy who had a career because he was just tougher than Rawhide. You know, I mean, he just simply brought it every night and probably didn't have NBA talent, but had everything else and was good when you had superstars. What he did was enough.
He was like Patrick Beverly, only wasn't even nearly as good as Patrick
but
Beverly.
But he'll battle you. He'll battle you. I don't think he's even going to make the team. Is he going to make the team this year?
I'd be
I mean,
surprised.
They got 20 guys.
I'd be surprised.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just I wish him well. I just don't
God
really
bless him. Yeah.
see him as an NBA player at this point.
Yeah, he's probably already achieved more than you reasonably
Yes.
would have thought he would have, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
good for him.
Yeah. I mean, so he's had I don't think anybody anticipated him having the career that he had, and he got in the right spot and he took advantage of it to his credit. And I always say he's one of those guys that'll give you what he's got. In my opinion, right now, he ain't got enough.
Right.
But you'll get it all every time he goes on the floor, and there's something to be said for that.
Yeah.
It's like us. We give you what we got. It just ain't enough.
I'm about
I'm
78%.
still holding back a
Yeah.
little, to be honest.
Yeah,
I'm
I
holding
I
back
could
a
tell.
little.
I could
A
tell.
little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
He likes to wait to see how things go, whether you're too mean to him in the beginning of the show, whether he's going to give it all.
We're on to him.
Yeah. What do you think of the Kings this year? John Hollinger had his preview yesterday in The Athletic. John Hollinger is great at breaking down trades and asset for asset. I don't know that, it's really hard to anticipate and predict how a team's going to do. Last year his Warrior prediction was way off, but he basically says yeah, the Kings will be better, but so what? If they're a little bit better, what are they really accomplishing?
Well, that's the thing. How much better? They will be better. If you want to talk about just the names, they have better names than they've had in a long time. The guys they brought in, the guys they can put out on the floor, it's like they can go 10 deep and you go, wait, I've heard of that guy. That's good. And that hasn't always been the case with the Kings. They've thrown some guys out there in the last couple of years. You go, where did that guy come from again? And how many teams has he been on?
You're talking about Jemias Ramsey?
That's exactly what I was saying.
Neemias Quetta?
How did you know that? But no, but I just think that they're deeper. The quality of talent is higher and they are deeper, but I don't know if that quality is high enough to really threaten anybody in a playoff scenario. But I do think 38 games maybe is possible. A play-in position is possible. That would be what I'd look for the ceiling. But I mean that's much better than in the past. It is an improvement, and I do think they'll be better.
I just think if that's your ceiling, then what are you really accomplishing? I like the fact that they have some good young players in Murray, and we talked about this, and of course Davion Mitchell, but it seems like they're kind of going two different directions. They're trying to load up to be a team that can maybe get into the bottom of the playoffs. At the same time, they're trying to build a younger team that maybe has a brighter future, and I think they're kind of cross purposes there to a degree, but it's all gonna depend on Fox and Sabonis, especially Fox, and I mean, it's a huge year for him. He's got a lot to prove as far as I'm concerned.
No, no question. It's a huge year for him. I'm sure he's aware of that. And, he and Sabonis are the keys for this team. If the team's going to make the playoffs, they have to have terrific years and make some strides, I think. Having said all that, I do like the idea, if they could make the playoffs, to me, you can never be a championship team if you don't make the playoffs. A lot of fans say, well, who wants to be the eighth pick, eighth spot and then get beat in the first round? Well, pretty much.
That's 11, yeah.
I mean, actually, that's how it starts.
That's how you do that. Then you go to the sixth.
It's like when the Kings were good. It's like, well, the first year they were eighth, I think, and played the Utah Jazz in the first round, and then got a little better in sixth or seventh, and then they made some trades, and that's how it works generally speaking. I mean, the Warriors didn't all of a sudden get Curry and next year get Clay and become a championship team. They got in the playoffs.
Right. If there's a problem with that, the problem would be Sabonis is they got him for 2 years. Two more years. So if you don't, and if he's gone, and he's one of your foundational pieces, it's just a matter of is his team built to last or not. Like the King. Well, I know you've built teams, so I know you know more about this than I do, but I just don't know the ceiling on this team. How high is it?
Well, no. I think currently the ceiling isn't particularly high, but that doesn't mean if you can. Let's say have the year that you're hoping for, the 38
to 40.
Okay, that's a clear improvement. And then you say, okay, this piece isn't quite good enough. We need to make trades to make it better. And you got something to go on. And to your point about Sabonis, my guess is he's more valuable to the Kings than other teams in the league. It's not saying he doesn't have a lot of value. Mm-hmm. So if the team is making progress and he's a key guy, I don't know why I wouldn't be worried about re-signing him until it's time to re-sign him. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think people...
But it's up to him.
But it's up to him.
Yeah.
And but it's the same way. It's like the year that the Kings lost Brian Grant. Well, he's a really good player, and you didn't want to lose him. And the Kings weren't very good then, but that's the reason they got Vlade Divac, because they had the cap room.
Yeah.
It's not always a lost factor.
You know what I'll never forget about Brian Grant? One of our interns or somebody went to a game or practice or media day. It's like, hey, Brian Grant, hey, would you do this thing where you say, here, read this? And it says like, hey, it's Brian Grant. I listen to the Rise Guys every day. And so he goes, okay. And he goes, hi, this is Brian Grant. I listen to the Rise Guys. And he goes, hey, I'm not going to get on here and lie. He wouldn't do it.
Became my favorite player instantly.
It's like, it's okay. Where you know it. Everyone knows you don't really listen to it.
Brian,
but he was like, I don't want any part of that. I don't actually listen to that show.
Yeah.
So good for him.
A rare guy of integrity, yes.
Well, I always remember him saying it was fun of his first comments was saying, asking about contracts and stuff. Oh, I'm just happy to be drafted, not signed for a bag of chips and a Diet Coke or something.
Yep.
And then immediately held out through preseason.
Yeah,
he wanted a 6-pack of Diet Coke.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that bag of chips is a little more expensive than we thought about.
Well, to what you said though about the two conflicting views. That's what's scary.
For the record,
because
Phantom is he used to be a Kings original season ticket holder. He is a Kings apologist.
Yes,
this is
I
a
am.
fact.
Yes, I totally
he
am.
cannot be
Yes.
objective about them. So
I
just
love
so you
Eddie
know,
Johnson.
Just so you know.
Well, I'm just saying though. That's you were talking about when the Kings were good. They didn't start good. They built it up, but it seemed like they had a plan. They had a direction they were going. The worrisome thing would be if they were trying to do two things at one time, and they did kind of improve a little bit, but they still didn't settle on a plan, on a way forward, a unified way forward. That, as a Kings fan, would worry me because that's what's happened in the past. It seems like they're at cross purposes within their own organization.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, what Jerry was talking about is what you want to see. You want to see that again 20 years later, but you can't really trust the organization because you haven't seen that in a long time.
Well, too, I agree with Phantom here again. This is scary, you know. A little bit, but
I think
Phantom, who just said
he
what I
knows-
said.
He knows where. He knows.
Right?
Yeah.
You just embellished the point. I maybe agrees with you.
Wow.
And not, okay.
No,
all
no,
right.
okay.
Why,
Okay.
are
Okay.
you trying to grab control and credit? Be a Steph
He agrees
Curry.
with you.
Be a Steph Curry.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. You're
well,
right.
anyway,
Yeah.
Going back to the cross purposes thing, I mean, you go back 5 or 6 years when the Kings were trying to make the playoffs, as they have.
They have seemingly tried to every year.
But
yes.
but they were getting old veteran guys.
Yeah.
The George Hills, Trevor Ariza's, older guys, and with the idea of this is going to be the piece or two pieces that
Yeah, a
make
plug and play situation.
But and to both points, I mean, where was that taking you? Because even if you did, it couldn't last because they're
That's as far as we're
more
going to
or
get.
less at the end, and as opposed to I think what Monty McNair has done. Okay, Malik Monk, Kevin Herter,
Right.
Obviously drafting well, and you got some. You don't have any old players unless you count Harrison Barnes as that, and he really should have 3 or 4 years if you want to keep him, and he certainly has value if you don't.
And he's been in a while, yeah.
And so to me, it's a whole different thing. I don't know how it's going to work out, obviously, but I certainly like what he's done under the circumstances, and you can with a Rashawn Holmes or
He's really
Harrison
good, by the way.
Barnes.
Rashawn
I mean,
Holmes is
you got
good.
guys that have value at some point if you want to go try something a little different going forward to build your
Right.
team. You say we got to this point, but we need to get here. Well, maybe you
We
can.
got some chips over here
Got
we can
some
use
chips.
to get a little
Yes.
bit higher, yeah.
I had to give the chips to Brian Grant.
Yes.
Along with
Oh,
soda.
boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's it. I think what Phantom said, and to your point, Jerry, that's if you're a Kings fan, I think, wow, and there's reasons for optimism, especially because a lot of the pro-Kings sentiment this year is coming from outside the building. I mean, you've got people around the league going, hey, they should be better. But the fear would be the thing that would give you some anxiety is, I'm not sure. It seems like ownership wants to go this way, and Monty wants to go this way. And if that's the case, then that's a problem. But we'll just wait and keep our fingers crossed on that.
Yeah, and you just have to see how it's going to play. I mean, is this the right direction? It to me, it looks like it is. And how much better can they be? We think they're better, but until they get the W's and L's, I mean, that's
Got one last night, baby.
Yeah, but that's a preseason W. Yeah, it's
Well,
great.
like I
And
say,
again,
that's
if
small
the Lakers,
case W.
The Lakers play the same lineup the next time they play them in the regular season. I like our chances.
I would like our chance against that lineup in the second half. The Lakers played with the Stockton Kings, really.
Okay, all right, sure, all right.
Hey, would you guys have made that trade? It came out this weekend that supposedly the Lakers were very close. They were considering that trade, and we probably talked about this trade weeks ago. And it would have been Westbrook and I think a 27 and 29 first-round pick from the Lakers to Indiana for Buddy Hield and Miles Turner. And the story, for whatever reason, that leaked this week or came out was that the Lakers were really seriously considering that. Would you have done that trade?
I don't know. If I'm the Pacers, I wouldn't. I mean, I really wouldn't. I mean, I don't know what those picks are going to be. Now if there's going to be protections on and that sort of thing, if they,
I could be wrong, but I think they were unprotected.
thought they were unprotected,
They would have
yeah.
been unprotected. Yeah.
unprotected is interesting, but the second part of that, is the Westbrook thing is just what does he do for you? I mean, if you're the Pacers, $47 million, you got Halliburton, you've got a young guard line there that you think you want to go
Yeah,
with. And
To me,
So-
the 2 picks is like that's what I get for taking Westbrook
Exactly.
on. I know a lot of Westbrook fans are like, well, why wouldn't you get him and 2 picks? Well, no, that's for absorbing him and everything he is right now. You would get
Really.
2 picks, and maybe you should get more.
That's your babysitting fee, yeah. But the 2029 guy, he's like 11 years old now, so you're trading for an 11-year-old.
well, yeah, and the other part to me is that like the Pacers. I mean, it's like, okay, when are we going to get good here?
That's a question you ask yourself a lot when you're a fan base.
Yeah.
Hey, when are we going to get good?
They had the worst attendance in the league last year, and they've been a spoiled franchise for a small market.
Yes.
They've had success almost consistently, and I just don't think it sells. It doesn't sell well anywhere. But
Yeah.
it sells less well
Right.
there, and to be looking at taking on Westbrook and getting rid of Miles Turner and Hield, 2 legitimate players that certainly would help the Lakers, which
Oh, absolutely.
I hope it's not done because it would make the Lakers
Like,
quite a bit better.
I guess the Lakers decided not to. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the way it's being framed anyway.
I was just wondering, there's been so much talk about Buddy Hield being traded, and how do you view it as far as, around the league? He's a sharp-shooting guard that would really add veteran presence. And meanwhile, if you're in Sacramento, you're like, you take him. I mean, we really don't want him anymore. He's a sharpshooting guard who doesn't make that many. So
Well, he's a
from your
good shooter. I
standpoint,
think he's a good shooter.
I'm a more of a fan than most here because I remember under Dave Yeager they had but he played well. Basically. Dave had the idea that Buddy wasn't real good with the ball, making decisions,
I
but
don't
he
know
was
where he
quite
got.
good shooting the ball, and I concurred with that. Get
you
him
said,
shots.
okay.
But
a
it
really
seemed
good
like
shooter.
under Luke that he did. He was a guy. They had him bringing the ball up the floor, trying to make plays, and it's like, really. When did that become a good plan? I missed that. And but then he started forcing a lot of shots. But I mean, to me, Buddy, you get him the ball with a live dribble, and to where he can either has a good shot or can create one with the 1 or 2 bounces. He's really good.
Yeah.
And
that would be great on the
and I think
Lakers,
the
right?
league
Yeah,
sees, and I
yeah.
think the league sees it that way.
I wouldn't mind the misses because I know he's going to make some. He's a really good shooter. And then the story is, as you guys know, supposedly that was going to happen where I think Kuzma was involved. He'd have gone to Sacramento, and the Lakers would have gotten Hield, and LeBron nixed it so they could bring in Westbrook.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he
Well,
needed more
it was-
shooting. So, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it was
What?
It was
Huh?
Kuzma
What?
and Montrezl Harrell.
Okay.
Both.
Yeah.
I mean,
All right.
that would have been a home run. I thought, that was a home run for the Kings.
But I agree.
Anyway.
Yeah. But LeBron as a GM may be about as good as Michael Jordan.
Yeah, not really that good, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's an offer at that, isn't he? So
He wants his buddies on his team.
yeah. Well, I think that's typical players. That's why you listen to them, but you don't.
Yeah, you don't give them final say.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Jerry had some interesting thoughts on LeBron this morning. That and nothing against him, but you noticed that what'd you say? He's not as LeBron-y as he used. Well, of course he's not.
Yeah, it's he did to me showed that he was he's old.
And it is
older.
preseason.
It's
And
preseason.
he's just
He
trying
is,
not to
yeah.
get
I
hurt.
will never just say this. I would never bet against LeBron James. Don't. I have my brain hadn't.
Him and
fully-
Brady, right? I think you mentioned that a few weeks ago.
Yeah, until they're gone, you want to give them every opportunity.
Respect. Yeah.
Because they've proven it, but certainly, and I know, I don't know, but I'd have to guess that LeBron treats preseason early, like probably most superstars in the past.
would
That
think
it's
so.
pretty meaningless, and it showed in his game.
Yeah.
Having said all that, it's also true that he is older, and at some point, Father Time wins every competition, and so will he be what he was when he's 28? No, he's not going to be, but he doesn't have to be.
He's hanging on so he can play with Bronny. Not hanging on. I mean,
on.
he was really good last year.
He was
so
good
to say
last
he was
year.
hanging on
Yeah.
is
No, he was
Not
good at all.
correct.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
one thing about him is he's aged like a lot of guys. Westbrook maybe be an exception. As they age, they usually get to be better shooters.
Yeah.
They shoot-
Yeah.
Jason Kidd's a great example. Guys that or Magic same way, come in the league not very good shooters, become really good shooters as they slow down, so to speak. But and LeBron's done that. But for the Lakers to have any chance, LeBron still has to be 90% LeBron, and we'll see.
So if Westbrook came to you, and he probably has already, and you're too
Yeah.
modest to say it, it's like, Jerry, What's going on here?
What's he doing? What is he
Well,
asking?
Bobby Hurley, he was working with Bobby Hurley on his jump shot,
Oh,
right?
okay,
And so
right.
if Westbrook came to you and said, "What? I can't shoot anymore. I was never a great shooter. I'm getting worse." What would you, Mr. Basketball and Jerry? What would you guys say?
I didn't know we were trying to say about Russell Westbrook. I would say don't
just-
shoot.
yeah.
I would say don't shoot.
All right.
I'd say we're not going to
Take better shots?
I would take better shots. Don't take as many shots. Try to use your athleticism to get the ball to others and let them shoot it. I would say that's what I would say with Russell Westbrook. Yeah, I would say I don't think we're going to make you a good shooter now. Although I've read a couple of things that, hey, he's really shooting the ball much better this year. So maybe we'll look forward to that. I don't know. But I don't think I would work with his form. I would just say don't shoot as much.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, I think it's all about, like as you pointed out, selectivity. I mean, in other words,
Take better shots.
take better shots. I mean, in other words, take really easy shots, and you might make half of them.
You don't have to take very many shots on that team. You really don't.
And they don't need you. They don't want you to take a lot
So
of shots.
take 4 and make 2. Great night. Way to go.
Yeah, and I mean, it wouldn't hurt. There's no downside to have him work with a shooting guru, so to speak.
I'm available.
If it were me, and probably wouldn't hire you.
Wow.
But I would.
I'm glad you got that.
I tell you what I would do. Seriously, I would go out and I would hire Mark Price, and I would give him and have him come in and I used to just spend a lot of time watching Mark work with Kemba Walker when Kemba first come in the league. And people forgot how he couldn't shoot a lick.
Mm-hmm.
Quick little guard to get
Yeah,
the basket.
oh, yeah.
And he had several years where he was a real good shooter before the injuries and all that. But Mark Price, I think, I don't know how. If it worked, but it sure
Couldn't hurt.
You got 17 guys lined up there behind the bench. I'd have one that I know can do something.
Yeah, that's a great.
I think
yeah.
Westbrook's got a little bit of the yips where he's afraid something bad's going to happen and he shoots it. It's almost like sometimes it's no touch. It's almost like he can't wait to get rid of it.
Well, there's no follow through.
Yeah, it's just
almost boom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And then you end up with air balls because he didn't have a lot of confidence in his
Well,
shot right now.
at
Mr.
some
Bass.
point-
And why would he?
Yeah, that's the
Exactly.
thing.
Yeah, he's
usually
no
it's-
dummy.
At some point, he was a good shooter, but really he never was.
Right.
So it's kind of hard to go back to let's just strip it down, go back to the basics, and build it up again. Well, it never was good, so you've got to kind of change something else. Maybe get your Mark Price in there, but the first step you do is go. Let's remember when you could shoot. Well, I can't remember that. No, I don't have any memory of that.
Let's remember when you got really open shots at the basket,
Yes.
and you can't get very many of them anymore.
Well,
but
that's
that's
true.
okay.
Yeah.
Just wait for those.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
remember watching him when he first broke in and going to one of the games and seeing he got a 15-foot jump shot whenever he wanted it because no one could keep up with him.
Right.
All he had to do is just dribble a couple times and he's open from 15. I said, if he ever learns to make the 15-foot jumper, he'll make the Hall of Fame. Well, he's going to make the Hall of Fame anyway, and he
Yeah.
never learned to hit the 15-foot jumper.
He's like
But still-
Fox. Fox same
yeah,
way.
exactly.
You
Exactly.
know, they
You
can
can't stop him from getting their shot off.
get that 15-footer. But I mean, I always remember when he came in for a draft workout, and went through all the different things, and he really wasn't a very good shooter then. Didn't
yeah.
have good technique. Kind of the, but you saw
That's when you needed Mark Price. Yeah.
But you saw athleticism just off the charts.
He plays hard. That's
and
one thing I love about him.
and competitive spirit. He had a little dog in him for sure. You could see that. I mean, he was gonna come to play.
I almost
and
think
I
that-
admire that about him
Yeah.
a lot.
Pardon me, but I almost think that's one of the things that works against him. To me, he's stubborn. He's not so much selfish as stubborn, or he just feels like if we're going to win, it's going to be me
Right.
because I'm the best player, and he's just not anymore. And I think he's a stubborn player in some
but he
ways.
was for long enough to have
Yeah.
that feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what happens a lot of times, with everybody. I mean, your strength can become a weakness. What made him special was that stubbornness, that competitive spirit. By God, I'm going to go out there and
you can't stop me.
and you
Yeah.
can't stop
Yeah.
me, and I'll wear you down. All that. Well, he can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
But he still thinks he can.
Right.
And-
Yeah,
and-
you're right. That happens to a lot of
and-
greats later on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of that determination that helped them get where they are. I'm going to do it no matter what you say.
Yeah.
And it's you don't just drop that at some
I
point.
always felt like that about Tyreek Evans in the beginning. Like they say, well, Tyreek Evans can't shoot. He always just drives the basket because no one's ever stopped him driving to the basket in high school and AAU and college. So obviously all he knows is driving to the basket, and that's all he did for a long time. Because no one ever stopped him doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so sad with him because about the time he learned to shoot was then all the other issues got him out of the league. He'd really
Injury
learned
issues and
he'd
off-court
really started to
issues,
shoot
yeah.
the 3-point
Yeah.
shot, and then it was
Yeah.
all but which I thought he probably could have had 4 or 5 really top years going after that. But
amazing.
too bad.
Yeah, he worked out with the Warriors last year. And I don't know if it was kind of a courtesy thing, but he actually did. I think it was last year. But I got one thing about Tyreek. I was there in Vegas for his first summer league game. And I remember, like you say, it's summer league especially. You get to the basket every time.
Anytime.
And I think a couple days after that, we did an interview with Jerry. I remember asking Jerry, like, wow, have you ever seen anybody get to the basket at will like that? And Jerry says, well, there's a guy named LeBron who's pretty good at that. So it's like, okay, you're right.
Throwing
You're
some
right.
water on us.
But,
yeah. We were getting
but
excited.
He
Come
did
on.
have a knack for that, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Tyreek?
No, yeah, I was going to say that was just like Phantom said. I mean, he was just unguardable in high school and college, getting to the basket, and he was extremely
For
good
a while, yeah.
I mean, in the open court, I mean, he was Kobe level. I always said, if you get the ball to him in the open court, he's going to get to the basket. Now, that was, of course, a lot of mistakes were made with him, but he was a man body, at 18 for that matter, and so
Did they give him too much rope? Like, hey,
Oh,
you're the
yeah.
guy here, do whatever you want.
absolutely, it really definitely did not serve him well. I think basically in the team as it was not good, so then it became the 25 and 5
that's
every
what,
night.
That's what ruined him.
Move
Well,
over,
ruined him.
Magic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
25.
Yeah.
Move
Yeah.
over Magic.
Yeah, Magic
make
and
room.
Oscar
LeBron,
and
yeah.
LeBron,
Jordan, and those were the four, I think.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
those were the 4. Russell and Chamberlain were in there somewhere too. Yeah.
Well, I mean, but it didn't. I don't think no serious basketball people were fooled by that, but it was a mistake by the team. It was a mistake, and it hurt his career, I think.
Yeah. The guy who went first in that draft, of course, Blake Griffin, he just signed with the Celtics. Does he still have anything else? Is Blake Griffin, any chance he's still a Hall of Famer, Blake Griffin?
Oh, wow.
I think he's around 15,000 points for his career.
He's got a lot of all-star appearances
He does.
too, but
He never won a championship, of course.
I don't think so. I mean, 15,000 is not a magic number.
Right.
And he's the end of his career is so characterized by injuries and stuff and not ever getting to the promised land. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't see it. I mean, really, if maybe without the injuries and had a couple more all-star level games, but I think you have a tendency to see the last 5 years and what's that been?
Yeah. Do you think he can help Boston?
He could help. I do think probably mentally and all he's basically at the place where he knows he's got to fit in.
Right.
And
he's not like Westbrook. He realizes what the deal is, huh?
Yeah. And so I thought he played decent, I guess, at Brooklyn. I mean, I wouldn't be, if I'm Boston, I'm not saying, oh boy, we're over the hump now.
If you're Coach Fiduzel, you're not.
No. Or whoever's Missoula.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's the guy. Yeah,
Missoula, Montana, or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, can he help? Yeah, he's got enough to help, but is he better than guys they've got? I don't know.
He dunked over a car, Phantom.
Yeah.
In the dunk contest,
But it wasn't
he jumped over a car.
But it wasn't in a real game.
Oh, okay.
I've never seen a guy do it in a real game.
No, I haven't either.
No, if you do it in a real game, call me. Okay?
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll wrap it up here with A to Z.
Oh.
NBA greats A to Z. I got to tell you, last night, my wife, Sheena, asked me, she said, are you guys doing your podcast tomorrow? And I said, C. And she said, because I'm bilingual. And she said, it's not C tomorrow, it's D. How about that? She's like, watches the podcast.
Well, that's great by her, but lame by you.
Yeah.
C.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So I came back. I said, and I don't want to steal anybody's thunder. I said, well, all right, D, who do you got? At first she said, well, I don't know. And then a few minutes later, she said, well, it's got to be Tim Duncan.
That's a great one.
I don't know. You want me to start? Who wants to start?
You're taking the mantle. That's a great one.
All right. Yeah. Well, I'm not going with Tim Duncan.
Okay.
But
Well, I hope
before
you're
you
not
get
taking
started,
mine.
Yes, sir. Yes,
you
sir.
guys don't realize this, but I happen to be bilingual too.
Really?
I speak Latin.
Oh.
Britannia est insula. That Britain is an island. 2 years.
There you go. Yeah. How long did it take you to get that?
2 years.
2 years?
I
Okay.
took 2 years.
Hey, worth
Yeah.
it. Worth every penny.
Oh,
yeah, absolutely.
Your Latin's better than my Spanish, I
Yeah.
must say.
Okay.
Yeah. What is it again? Britannia.
Britannia est insula.
Okay. All right.
It's an island, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a famous saying in the Latin area.
Yeah.
Latin Quarter.
We're gonna have to get T-shirts for the podcast with that on there. I don't know.
As long as I get a
Yeah.
kickback.
Oh, my guy would be interesting player. He went to high school in Sacramento. See if you can guess. Pac-10 probably at the time. Big guy, 7'2", legitimate 7'2", 265.
Oh,
Fourth round pick.
Yeah, James Donaldson.
James Donaldson. Yeah, James
Washington
Donaldson.
State, yeah.
Yeah, and he was a fourth round pick. And I think he played a good 15 years in the NBA.
yeah, with Dallas, right?
Dallas. He was with
That's
He was with Seattle. He was drafted by Seattle. Played with Seattle and the San Diego Clippers.
Oh.
So he's like 79 through whatever that would be, 90, whatever. But one of the things I'll never forget about James Donaldson, I was reading about him one time, and he was born in England. I don't know if his parents were English or what, but he said his mom, 7'2". So you look at just a prototype center, and his mom. He says, my mom thinks I play guard, and I said, why? And mom says, because every time I turn on the TV, you're guarding somebody. So I did.
Moms, between his mom and your wife, what a
Yeah.
show. Yeah,
So James
fantastic.
Donaldson, mom,
And Jerry's
you must
Latin.
be a guard because every time I turn on, you're guarding somebody. But that draft, by the way, 79 draft, Lambeer went 65th, James Donaldson went 73rd, and Mark Eaton went 107th
Wow.
in the 79 draft.
Man.
Yeah. Some pretty good centers played for a long time. Went
Yeah,
late.
yeah.
You don't even have that many rounds
Don't have
now,
that many
obviously.
rounds anymore.
Yeah. So James Donaldson's my D guy.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a
That's
good one.
Good
yeah.
local guy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go next so Jerry can go last. My guy is one of those guys that I thought he was going to be fantastic pro. I thought he was going to be incredible because he's the most athletic guard I ever saw.
Terry Duhair.
Back in the days when Coach K was just getting started, his first Final Four team in 1986 featured Johnny Dawkins.
Ooh.
Johnny Dawkins was the most. I saw him do like a two-hand reverse jam in a game as a college player, and he's like 6'3", and I'm like, that's amazing. He's so athletic. I guess he didn't shoot well enough to translate to the pros because he averaged like 11 points a game over 9 years. But he was the guy got Coach K first to the Final Four back in '86, and they lost to Louisville. With your Kings connection, Nervous Purvis Ellison,
Yeah, never
freshman in
Nervous
that
Purvis,
game.
yeah.
Yeah, whatever. I call him Nervous Purvis.
Was Milt Wagner on that team?
I don't
No,
think so.
I
I
don't
don't
think
think
so.
Milt was.
Yeah,
I did
okay.
like Milt Wagner, though. So Johnny Dawkins, one of the great college players, never really translated, but had a good career, but was just an amazing athletic guy and very instrumental in helping Coach K get his legacy.
And became a good coach, right?
Yeah, he's had a good
Stanford,
career, different places, and I always remember him in San Antonio. Yeah, he's one of those guys that was good, just couldn't quite.
Yeah.
Didn't. I don't, and I think it does. Like you said, I think it's just shooting. I mean, he wasn't quite a deep shooter. Needed to get to the basket and could,
Yeah,
but not
incredibly
enough.
athletic, yeah,
a little
but-
bit of a weaker version of Tyreek. Really.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. A little smaller, yeah.
Smaller. I mean, he
A
probably
lot of
had a
lead-
little better, not a better career, but anyway. So, my guy is a former Kings guard, Larry Drew.
Oh, Larry Drew.
Larry Drew, I played at Missouri, came in with the Kings, a kind of a later first-round pick, and it's kind of interesting because really he became better, I think, than anybody expected. Now, I always remember Larry from high school because he'd come over when I was a college coach and work out with some of our guys, college guys and stuff, and, he'd way better than they were. It's just one of those things you said, ooh,
Really
this
good
guy.
He just- yeah.
And I always remember, too, at the time there was a lot of argument about who's the best guard in the several state area, Larry Drew or Darnell Valentine.
Boy.
I said, well, I know Valentine's rated higher, but I said, I don't believe he's better than this guy. And as it turned out, he wasn't. Valentine had a decent career, but Larry was
college,
better.
yeah.
And obviously, Larry went on to coach in the NBA.
Yes. Yeah. Is he still an assistant somewhere?
He's an
I feel like
assistant. I think he's an assistant somewhere, but I really can't tell you where
he
he
might
is.
be with the. I thought I seen him with the Hawks, but I could be imagining that. Yeah.
That could be.
Yeah.
I like I say, I know. I'm pretty sure he's still doing it. And his son played briefly in the league. He had a son that played for North Carolina, and then just not quite, good enough to play in the league. But anyway, Larry Drew, good guy. I always remember he was the first year the team was in Sacramento. He played behind Reggie Theus and Mike Woodson, the 3-guard combo, and was really good.
Oh, I know. I remember those guys.
Like I always say, if they'd have kept that team together, it would have been a 40-plus win team for several years, but naturally they had to break it up and get rid of Woody and Drew and bring in Derek Smith. And
After he was injured. Oh,
yeah,
it was a terrible
just and the chemistry was great. Probably that chemistry on that team was better than even the 60 wins Kings team. I mean, they really got along great.
One of the things that surprises me when I look back on those, the early Kings, is they had so many guys who went on, and you just mentioned 3 of them: Reggie Theus, Larry Drew, Mike Woodson, who went on to become coaches.
Yeah.
Right? And you had Danny Ainge. I know that was a little later, he's coach and an executive. But
and
a lot
Eddie,
of guys,
Eddie, a broadcaster,
and
running all those camps and stuff for shooting. There's a guy we can get work with Russell Westbrook right there, Eddie Johnson.
Yeah. Well, Eddie would be a terrific coach.
Yeah.
I always thought maybe of all those guys that he might be the most natural coach, but and he thought about it for a while, but I think he's got it pretty well wired. But Eddie was really one of the smart, much like Ainge, really got the game and understood everything. But of course those other guys did as well. But that was a bunch of smart guys. They didn't wasn't good enough to win a championship or anything, but they were good enough to win more than they should have.
And another guy, and I think you coached him, I could be wrong, he wasn't much of a player, but he had a huge impact. Michael Jackson, right? Because he went on to work for like TNT. And he was one of the,
Well, I always say, he's the one that hired. Actually, ended up later hiring Kenny Smith and also Danny Ainge for a while.
Yeah, Kenny Smith is another one. Yeah.
So we had some, and of course, really an interesting guy I think is Jimmy Les, who had a had a limited career, but I always say Jimmy got more out of his talent than you could have expected, and you knew he's going to be a really good coach, which he is. And I always say Jimmy's one of those guys that really could come to the NBA and I think do well if given an opportunity.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he'd get an opportunity, but he gets it. He's one of those guys that gets it.
Phantom, before we go tonight, for the first time, Victor Wembanyama is going head-to-head with Scoot Henderson for the first time.
1 against 2.
It's Metropolitans 92 versus Scoot Henderson's G League Ignite. And he
Wembanyama got me. He said, "Hey, this Scoot guy's really good. If I wasn't alive, he'd be the best player."
Yeah, that's a great
line. So that's all there is to it. I'm a Victor guy. Go Vic.
Well,
tank for Vic.
Well, I think a lot of teams are. I think that's exactly what's happening.
That's why Pop said last week, if I wouldn't go to Vegas and bet on us to win the championship, right?
But I mean, it really is a case. We'll see, but the hype is so high early, almost to the level of LeBron.
Yeah, it's incredible.
That Victor Wembanyama is the guy that everybody says is a sure thing franchise turner. And so now I don't know about Scoot Henderson.
We'll see about Scoot.
And
he's
Scoot,
number 2. Yeah.
Scoot may scoot past him. I mean, he may be better, but I don't know. But I mean, there's nobody that I've talked to that seen the guy that doesn't think he's the guy.
Yeah, 7'4" and
skilled,
able to score in a bunch of different ways. Not just being 7'4", but doing all kinds of other stuff.
Yeah. Would you like to invite people to hit the subscribe button on YouTube?
I don't know. Okay, subscribe.
Yeah.
That way you'll know.
We're not inviting you. We're telling you.
Okay. Well, I guess I should let him do it. Yeah.
Don't make me come to your house.
Remember, he's on 19 shows now, so he knows how to do this.
He'll make you run laps. Yeah. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. You okay with this arrangement here, sitting this way,
all right?
Jared?
Yeah,
it's good. Well, I don't want you. This is probably closer than you need to be.
We'll work on that for next time.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks. Work on that. Thanks for watching the Old Fashioned 3.
Thank you for joining the Old Fashioned 3 on Stones Radio Networks. To stay updated on the show, like and subscribe on YouTube, and all shows are available for download on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts, and of course at stonesradionetworks.com. Follow the show and the gents on Twitter at OL, Fashioned, and the number 3, at Phantom Radio 60, and at Whitey Gleason. This has been a production of Stones Radio Networks.